What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on Keeping It Real with Credit live session. Over here with my little guy, Josiah. Say hi.
Hi,
y'all. All right, go. Go do your homework. All right, guys. So back at it again with another live video. If you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing because on this channel, we talk anything and everything regarding credit, personal finance, tips and tricks or whatnot. And as you know or may not know, I'm your host, Ray from Keeping It Real. And again, we talk anything regarding credit and personal finance. Speaking to you live from Miami, Florida, in the Miami Design District. Here's a little quick sneak peek as to the Keeping It Real with Credit studios, right? So more to be coming up pretty soon. Now, really quick before we kind of move on and let everybody kind of join in the chat with us. Welcome everybody that's joining with us. I have one of my guys here, Alex, which has some great always. Come on, Alex.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing this Thursday evening?
So what he does, and he has a lot of knowledge on, is credit cards, and more specifically to those hidden credit card features, what the bank's approval criterias, and especially with the Apple credit card, right?
Yeah, the new Apple credit card. That's what everybody's talking about now.
And what did you find out with the Apple credit card when it came to the inquiries, approval, and stuff like that?
Well, I actually got approved not too long ago, about a month ago, for the Apple credit card. So how it works, guys, it's really good. It's a plus just because just by doing the application, if you get declined for whatever reason, you don't get the inquiry. You only get the inquiry if you do get approved. Another good thing is, from my experience, they run through TransUnion. So if your TransUnion score is good, you should have high approval odds. Another thing is that as of right now, for the time being, Apple is not reporting to the credit bureau. So I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing. The pro of it is that the utilization, if you have high utilization for whatever reason, not that we recommend that, or you should have high utilization, it wouldn't report. But on the other side, that's good.
And I think somebody's asking for, you can use it on all purchases, right?
Correct, yes. And I think it's 1% back, and then it's like 3% back on all Apple purchases as far as the Apple credit card goes, for sure.
All right, Sophia, so I saw your question on. Thanks for tuning in, man. Okay, so basically where it comes down to it, guys, and again, I see you guys kind of tuning in or whatnot. All right, yep, sounds good. Tuning in or whatnot, so welcome. So make sure to answer your questions, guys. So just to go ahead and kick this off, as you may or may not know, as of yet, Keeping It Real with Credit now is operating its own credit restoration organization, right? We're here to service all your credit restoration needs. Me and my team are definitely prepared to give you those results. As you've seen on some occasions, I've been posting some reviews and some fantastic results we've been able to get for our clients in as little as 30 days. So if you are interested into finding out what your options are when it comes to credit, make sure to click on the link in the description below. And in that link, you're going to get directed over to go ahead and schedule an appointment with me or my team to conduct what's called a free credit evaluation. And you take home a full analysis that kind of details and breaks down what obviously your score is and what your credit, what do we have to work with basically. And using that information, we'll be able to let you know what we can actually do for you or not do for you. But at the end of the day, the most crucial part here, and what's my favorite part out of this, is that regardless of whether you do business with us or not, you're still able to go ahead and walk away with a bunch of information when it comes to your credit. So take advantage of that free credit evaluation. It's only 20 minutes of your time, so highly encourage it. First link in the description, and I've posted it as well on the chat here. All right, so click on that link, and it'll direct you to go ahead and do it. Now, somebody asked here previously is how to actually use a credit card properly. Well, at the end of the day, you can use your credit card how you want, but it's using it strategically and intelligently is what's really going to allow you to maximize the credit, right? And how to use your credit and leverage credit, not only to improve your credit score, which gives you opportunities to more lending power, but obviously depending on what you're going to use that for, whether to buy a home, whether to buy a car, start your own business. Again, I believe that when it comes to credit, if you leverage it correctly, potentially invested in things that are going to generate you income. So now when it comes to a credit card and how you're using it, and my rule of thumb is, and this is something that I'm going to explain like what I do explain this in some of the other videos, but I actually manage this across several credit cards. And so on all my credit cards, and you guys can do your homework as well, the credit cards always have a due date and a report date. The due date is the day that you have to at least pay the minimum, right? Typically $25 or whatnot, depending on what your limit is. And then the due date is the date in which the banks report that information over to the credit bureaus, whether you paid or not, what your balance is, and all that other good stuff. It's typically 5 days, but you can call your bank and ask them, what is my end of cycle date? Or what is my what's my billing date? What day do you guys report to the credit bureaus? And they'll tell you. Now, as long as you have those 2 dates locked in, you're in control as to how much utilization or what the balance reports. So in my case, I pay my credit cards down in full to 0. Why? Because the credit card, Capital One, does not charge me interest if I pay the balance in full. However, I don't mind paying my balances off in full, because what that does is it's a money, it's available right away. To me, I see it as a transfer from a checking to a savings and from a checking to a credit card, right? That same money you transferred over is still available right away, just in credit, right? And so, and then what I do is that specific credit card, the due date is on the 1st, and that card doesn't report until the 5th of the month, right? And so on the 5th of the month is when they report. So I don't use that card until the 6th of the month, right? So I paid off from the 1st, and I don't use it until the 6th. This way, the balances are always reporting 0, and I'm able to use it. What you do after that, the credit bureaus won't know. But the only way where I can maintain to be able to pay that balance off in full at all times is by only spending 30% of the limit, meaning whatever your limit is, divide by 3 and never, ever pass that. If you feel the need that you need to pass that for whatever the case may be, then request what's called a credit limit increase. Typically, you want to ask for that at the 3-month mark or 6-month mark. Some credit card companies will just increase it on your own. But make sure that your balances are paid off, that you have a great payment history. And trust me, the bank is definitely going to go ahead and work with you. All right. So hopefully that information, hopefully that does answer your question when it comes to how to use your credit card. All right. Lee, I believe, and I'm sorry if I'm messing up the name, Lay N was asking, what do you apply for the Apple credit card? You actually do that on your phone. If you have an iPhone, you go to your little wallet app and it'll tell you apply for Apple credit card. And if you get approved, it's pretty awesome. They'll send your card in the mail, but it's pretty much active within your Apple Pay. So definitely an interactive credit card. Very cool. Highly recommended. Chad Merrill, let's get it. What's up, Chad? Sophia Hernandez, how often should you request a credit line increase? I would say every 3 to 6 months or so. Some credit cards, because another good part, going back to how I was explaining the use of credit cards, another good part in explaining it that way, keep in mind, guys, that credit card companies make money off of the interest that they charge you. And so if you're an individual that pay their balances off in full every month on several occasions, then they're not making money off of you. So what they do on their own, probably after a certain period of time, is that they'll go ahead and raise your credit limit increase. That's beautiful to you, because 30% of your credit score has to do with availability of credit. And so once that happens, your score will jump up. But in reality, they're pretty much raising your credit limit within reason to be able to get you stuck. But, jokes on them, right? Because all you got to do is, again, apply the 30% rule, or maybe this time 20%. Basically, you know your situation better than anybody. So go ahead and make sure that you're documenting exactly what it is that you're making, and kind of adjust and make adjustments that way. All right. So here we go. Michelle Shiflett, I need info on how to handle school loans, specifically for a 2-time Iraqi vet. Definitely would love to take a look at it. Again, the devil's in the details. So go ahead and click in the first link in the description below. That'll go ahead and prompt you to create the free credit evaluation so that I or one of my team members could go ahead and speak with you. So hopefully that answers your questions. Tommy Valentine. Hey, how you doing? What's up, Tommy? Jesus Ibarra. Hello from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What's up, man? Can you pay one credit card with another? Sorry, I don't know much about credit cards. That's okay. No such things as stupid questions. You cannot pay one card with another credit card, but what you can do is called a balance transfer. Some credit cards allow that you can transfer the balance from one credit card, even if it's another bank, and transfer that balance over, right? So obviously that is an option when it comes to that. Chad Merrill, what is the cost for the credit repair after the initial consultation? So Chad, part of the information that you get when it comes to the evaluation is pricing, right? And so obviously pricing is depending on the amount of negative items that you have. And so obviously within the evaluation, we'll be able to identify how many negative items you have. And pricing is basically determined based on that, right? Because obviously I'm not going to charge you the same as somebody that has one negative item as opposed to somebody that has 56 negative items, for example, right? The cost is a little bit higher on one end because there's a lot more time, man hours, and work that goes into each of those accounts that we're disputing on your behalf, right? What is the best secured card to get after bankruptcy? Easy. I don't think any secured card is great because those secured cards are typically geared towards people that have bad credit or reestablishing again, you know, like you said, a bankruptcy. So just keep in mind, I actually started off with the Capital One secured credit card. I only had to deposit $200, and in turn, they gave me a $200 line of credit. And then after a certain period of time, I deposited more money. That increased my credit limit to the event where they automatically upgraded that card to an unsecured Quicksilver credit card that I have still to this day with 1.5 cash back on anything that I use it for. So something to keep in mind. All right. Let me see here. All right. So, okay. So Lizard One, if someone I know got in a car accident and a debt collector is trying to collect money from them, should they avoid the debt collector? So Lizard One, to answer your questions, you should never avoid a debt collector because if the amount is significant enough, they can start getting creative and they'll go ahead and leverage things to lawsuits and things like that, right? Wage garnishments, all things that we definitely don't want, right? And so what you want to go ahead and do is as soon as you get a contact from a debt collector via the letter or call or phone call, whatever the case may be, you can request for them to stop reaching out to you, but you're going to go ahead and respond back via dispute letters, right? And so again, to validate the process, I know I mentioned it in other videos before. I'm actually in the process of creating a more detailed oriented video of steps to take if you receive a letter, and another video on steps to take on whether you get a phone call and how to treat that phone call as such, right? And we'll go over a lot when it comes to that. All right, guys. So let me go ahead and touch up on some other things that we know are coming up within the process. And so obviously the holidays are coming up, right? And so something to keep in mind is when the holidays come up, a lot of scammers like to get on the phone and call people. Okay, this is the time of year where people, they know that you have money, right? Income tax season is coming in. So be very wary as to who calls you and who you give your information to over the phone. And obviously this is the time of season where a lot of you are possibly going to get money via tax or bonuses and things like that. And I would challenge you guys. So go ahead on Google and go ahead and do your research on ways to invest $100, $1,000, right? Challenge yourself. See what else you can do with the money that you have, right? Instead of just wasting it on things that are not going to make you money. So something to keep in mind, right? Since we're talking on the idea of managing money, credit, and personal finance. So hopefully that helps. Maria, hey Maria, thank you for your question. I have a question. Was there a discrepancy with my house payment? I made my payment on time, but they stated it was late. There was an issue with my bank. So in that case, Maria, you're able to go ahead and dispute that information with the bank. So they'll go ahead and double check and validate whether it was late or whatnot. If that problem still persists, then you can go ahead and file a complaint with the Consumer Bureau of Protection. They'll be able to go ahead and contact the organization that kind of governs and all the rules and regulations that banks are supposed to follow, and the department that protects you as a consumer when it comes to this. I see no reason why you should suffer for their mistake, so I would highly encourage for you to go ahead and see about that. All right, Tommy Valentine, my girlfriend has no credit. Can she start with Capital One online? They ask a question. She has poor credit, and I don't know what to put. So, Tommy, one thing that I would do is, because every time you apply for credit, whether it's via credit card or loan or whatever the case may be, you get what's called an inquiry. Now, inquiries are only 10% of your credit. Doesn't really count much. But every time you have a bank run your credit for the purposes of getting a loan or credit card or whatnot, it can take anywhere between 3 to 7 points off of your credit, right? And so instead of applying for things without really having any confirmation as to if we're not going to get approved or not, I know Capital One has a pre-qualifying feature where you just put little bits and pieces of your information, maybe the last 4 of your social, and if you've been pre-qualified or if you're in their database as a pre-qualifying member based on the information on your credit report, then it'll tell you, hey, you've been pre-qualified for this card. Now, pre-qualifications aren't guaranteed, but for the most part, if you are pre-qualified for a specific card, chances are there's a high probability that you may get approved. Again, okay, this is a good way where you don't inquire, you don't have an inquiry, it doesn't ding up your score, and you have at least some insight as to what's available for you. So hopefully that helps. Marcus, Al, or AI, thank you for your videos. You're welcome, man. Hopefully it helps. How do you feel about Credit Karma? So the way I feel about Credit Karma is this great. It's free, right? It's kind of like an indicator, but just keep in mind, right, that they're giving a Vantage score. And most of the banks out there aren't using Vantage scores. But obviously, for the most part, if you get a notification whether your score went up or down on Credit Karma, then chances are that your actual score did go up. By how much, it's hard to tell because the Vantage scoring model and the FICO scoring model, the algorithms calculate scores differently. So one may be off by 20, 50 points, sometimes even by 100 points, right? Really depending on the information on there. But other than that, if you guys have Credit Karma, good on you. I have Credit Karma, right? And so it's like a little good gauge, a little good indicator when you get, and it's free, right? So that obviously helps a lot. Chichi, proud to be. Can you tell me why my credit score is going down? I have paid off all of my bad debts and hired Lexington Law to have them removed from my report, but for some reason my score is dropping. So that's exactly what it is. If you've paid off your bad debt, whether it be collections or whether it be a charged off account or an account that had previous late payments, the reason why your scores are going down or they're remaining where it's at is because it's still classified as negative whether you paid that account off in full or not, right? Because it may have previous, you still may have a late payment from 6 months ago, right? You may have had again, a collection or charge off, or just because you pay collections doesn't get it removed or all of a sudden increase your credit score, right? The algorithm doesn't work that way, which is why it's dropping or probably maintaining on a low level. Amy Velasquez, I joined a program for my student loans. They told me it would help my credit, and it has, but not as much as they told me. Should I look into a credit repair program? Amy, I think you should look at all your options when it comes to credit restoration. You could go ahead and click on the link in the description below, and I or my team member will be more than happy to kind of take a look at what your situation is. But hard to tell again, because at the end of the day, the report is not in front of us, right? So click on that link. We'd love to give you some free advice when it comes to that. Queen B, is it the same thing? Points deductions for mortgage increase? Yeah. Just give or take, depending on how many banks they send it to or whatnot, can definitely impact it. Queen B, any advice for first-time home buyers with a low credit score? Be patient. Work on your credit. Increase your credit. Because even though you can qualify for a home with a low credit score, sometimes the amount of money you're going to be saving over the period of you having that loan, over typically 30 years, can mean thousands of dollars of difference. So I would say be patient, work on improving your score, work on diversifying your credit portfolio with different credit cards, maybe a car loan. That's what banks love to see. If anything, work on getting a raise at your job, getting promoted, getting a degree that's going to allow you to get paid a higher salary, right? And so all those things play into into your home. So if you want to save a lot of money, I wouldn't say don't rush into it. Take your time, study credit, watch our YouTube videos, and have a better idea, because again, you can qualify for a 580 or a 600, but you're going to be saving a lot more money if you're at the 700s or 720s, right? So something to think about. Chad Jacob, what score, FICO, Vantage, etc., is the most important when wanting to know your true credit score is? So in reality, Chad, no one knows what their true credit score is. Why? Because there's so many different variations in FICO scoring models and algorithms. FICO score model 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. There's a bunch, right? And Vantage scores. I know some banks use Vantage scores, but not all of them. And they won't even know to tell you if they're using a Vantage score or not. And so when it comes to FICO, their scores are always important, but you're never going to know your true score. Especially if you buy into these credit monitoring programs, you're only really getting access to 2 years worth of information. What a bank can do, however, is actually access up to 7 to 10 years of information on your credit. So the scores may be higher or lower on their end because of the amount of information they have versus what you will ever have access to. So that type of access to your personal information is not readily accessible to the public. And so I would say let's focus on, if you want to know you have a great score, look at your credit report. Does it have collections? Does it have late payments? Does it have charge-offs? Those are things that are negatively impacting your score. And if it does, then what happens is you would have to at least try to get it removed. If it doesn't have any of those things, then obviously no matter where you run your credit, you're always going to have a strong, great credit score. So hopefully that helps. Gloria Cabasa, what investment agencies would you advise to invest in? I really don't trust anything out there. Gloria, there's a bunch of investing companies. I would even say look at, like I was saying earlier in the video, YouTube it. How to invest $100, how to invest $1,000. And really do your research to see what better fits your budget. There's a bunch of programs out there. Can't really say, but for the most part, look it up. There's a bunch of information out there. Hilda Hilbert, I have a judgment against me and had 5 other debt collectors taking me to court. 3 are a payday loans. Should I get all my debts together and file for a settlement? Hilda, you said payday loans on there. You have debt collectors going after you for payday loans? Never heard that before. And if they are, you might want to go ahead and check where they worked at before, because that sounds like a big red flag to me, Hilda. So other than that, if you did get summoned, at that point, I would say contact your local consumer attorney to kind of review what your options are, right? And so that's what I could say about that. Edwin Villarreal, can you open a credit card if they closed the same one before? Edwin, that's a good question. I know I've seen people in forums kind of say that they've reapplied for a card that they were denied for before, or reapply for a card that at one point, they fell into hard times and that account got closed out, and they're giving them chances, but really hard to say because some banks like to keep internal notes, and that can usually mean the difference between you getting approved or not for any other products, right? So it's a question that I guess you can say you can go ahead and ask the bank. That way you're not running inquiries or applying to things that it's really no point in doing so. All right, CJS, I've not been able to pay even minimum payments on credit cards for almost 4 months. Will all my credit card companies allow me to make payment plans? Yes. Communicate with them, call them, let them know your situation, and they'll definitely work with you. Maybe even sometimes lower your interest rates. Again, call them to see what their options are. But what you don't want to do is ignore it, right? And still continue to make those little payments, because they'll go ahead and close it off. So make sure to go ahead and communicate with them, touch base with them, let them know that you want to fix the situation. That's part of establishing a great relationship with your bank that can in turn lead you the rest of the way, right? It could pay off in the long run. All right. Miss Piggy, I haven't checked my credit in 6 years. Well, now's a good time to do it. But then, Miss Piggy, what are you trying to do with your credit is the question, right? Why are we starting to look into our credit now, or thinking about looking into your credit, right? What is it that you want to go ahead and do? But I'll be more than happy to go ahead and review that for you. Again, if you click the link in the description below, you'll go ahead and be directed over to the scheduler, and we'll schedule and you'll speak to one of us regarding a 20-minute free credit evaluation for you. All right. Jamal, hey Jamal, what's up, man? How you doing? Forenza, after 6 years, it's wiped off in UK. That's great. Yeah, I know the UK in some cases has similar, kind of guidelines when it comes to credit. Miss Piggy, I'm on disability and cannot pay my creditors. Is there any type of program to assist me because I cannot pay? Let me see. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of programs. Again, Miss Piggy, why don't you go ahead and schedule an evaluation with us, and we'll go ahead and tap into our sources. We have a lot of connections when it comes to keeping it real with credit, and so I've worked really hard to develop a list of people that'll definitely be able to help you guys if in the case we cannot help you or things are out of our hands or may not be our expertise. Darnell Anthony, I have a child support and collections. How do I dispute it? You dispute it in the same way. If it appears on your credit report, it is subject to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which states that if something's unverifiable, inaccurate, or incomplete, it must be removed. We removed plenty of child supports on there. All right, so give us a call if you want some more information on there, or click on the link in the description below to go ahead and schedule your one-on-one consultation with me or my team here. All right. Nicola Pearson, is it wise to pay on with the collection agency for the bank and settling? I think you're asking is it better to pay with the bank itself or pay the collectors? And I guess if you're trying to settle, look, when it comes to collections, if you're able to pay the original creditor, I say do that. Work out a payment plan, do whatever you got to do. Once it's in the hands of a collector or a third or a debt buyer, or whatever the case may be, at that point, that's where things become fishy. It becomes tricky. So you want to go ahead and dispute or validate that debt before, again, working out any sort of payment plans or ways to deal with the debt, which in some cases usually isn't the case. JD says, why did we separate, I guess, excuse me, from the last company that we worked with? Keeping it real with credit, it was time for a new chapter of keeping it real with credit to grow and establish his team and go ahead and do bigger and better things out there. And so right now we have a full service team that'll be able to help you with all of your credit restoration needs. Obviously, we're building out the studio to crank out more videos with a higher quality podcast. And you name it, everything's going to be done here in-house, right? Because that's just the best way to do it, right? So hopefully that helps and answers your questions. Jamal, just stopping by to talk to you soon. All right, Jamal, definitely looking forward to speaking to you guys out there. So, guys, at this point, time is up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for all the information, all the questions that you posted on there. Hopefully, I was able to answer all of your questions. If not, please feel free to click on the link in the description below. That'll go ahead and put you in touch with me or my team. And if you do speak with one of my team members, I'm always around them, right? So don't be afraid to let them know, to say what's up. I'll definitely be able to answer any or all your questions. But please, guys, take advantage of that free credit evaluation. It's free. And you'll be able to leave with a bunch of information regarding your credit or the option to hire us to go ahead and get things removed there quickly for you, obviously depending on the information out there. But every 30 days, we're generating some sort of results for our clients. So definitely blessed for that, knocking on wood, got some wood back here. And hopefully we can continue that moving forward. All right, guys. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for the love and support. Share with family and friends, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until the next episode on Keeping It Real with Credit, peace.